Watching my housemate die inside. Back in university, 6 of us shared this house off campus. 3 guys, 3 girls. My best friend John was the shyest guy I'd ever met. Like, he could barely make eye contact with girls when he talked to them. He'd turn red if a girl so much as smiled at him. One of our housemates was Sarah. When we first moved in, she had this boyfriend who would come over every weekend. The guy was a complete jerk. He'd eat our food, hog the TV, and talk down to Sarah in front of everyone. After about 3 months, she finally dumped him. That's when John and Sarah started getting really close. She'd come downstairs in her pajamas and just cuddle up next to him on the couch while we watched movies. When we went out to clubs, she'd only dance with him. They'd stay up talking in the kitchen until like 3 in the morning. It was so obvious they were into each other. But John was completely clueless. I tried to tell him multiple times that Sarah liked him. He'd just shake his head and go, "No way, man. We're just good friends. She's way out of my league." Meanwhile, our other housemate Steve was the total opposite of John. This guy had a different girl over every other weekend. He had a girlfriend back home, but that didn't stop him from hooking up with random girls from our classes. He was basically that guy who thought he was God's gift to women. Steve also had this massive crush on Sarah. He'd tried hitting on her a few times, but she shut him down every single time. I think that bruised his ego pretty badly because he started acting weird around John after that. At first, Steve would just make little comments here and there about John never having a girlfriend. Then when he noticed Sarah and John getting closer, he started calling John Virgin Boy, right to his face, in front of everyone. The first time he did it, we all kind of laughed it off as a joke, but then he kept doing it every single day. "Hey Virgin Boy, can you pass the remote? What's up, Virgin Boy? Virgin Boy, your turn to do dishes." John would just go quiet and look down at his feet. Sarah would glare at Steve, but he'd just smirk like he thought it was hilarious. I told him to knock it off. Our other housemates told him to stop being a jerk, but Steve kept going. I think he was jealous that Sarah clearly preferred John over him. This went on for weeks. John stopped hanging out in the common areas as much because he didn't want to deal with Steve's comments. Sarah noticed and started spending more time in John's room with him instead. We all went home for Christmas break. When we got back in January, something had clearly changed between John and Sarah. They were holding hands. She was wearing his hoodie. They were being more openly affectionate. A few days after we got back, I was sitting in the living room with 2 of our other housemates just watching TV. Steve walked in from his room and looked at me and John sitting on the couch. He goes, "Hey, you guys want to order pizza for dinner?" Then he looks directly at John and says, "What about you, Virgin Boy? You hungry?" Right at that moment, Sarah walked in from the kitchen. She must have heard what Steve said because her face completely changed. She walked straight over to John, sat down on his lap, kissed him right on the mouth, then turned to look at Steve. She goes, "You can't call him that anymore. We had a great time this morning and he made me finish multiple times, which is probably more than you've ever done for anyone with your tiny dick." I almost choked on my drink. Our other housemates were trying so hard not to laugh. Steve's face went from normal to bright red in like 2 seconds. His mouth was opening and closing like a fish. He mumbled something that sounded like whatever and practically ran to his room. We heard his door slam shut. Turns out Sarah had finally made a move on John that morning. They'd both admitted they liked each other and ended up sleeping together. Sarah told us later that she'd been waiting for John to make a move for months but realized he was too shy, so she just went for it. She said when she heard Steve call John Virgin Boy again, something in her brain just snapped. She was done with Steve's bullshit. Steve barely talked to any of us for the rest of the semester. He'd grab food from the kitchen and take it straight to his room. When he did have to be around us, he wouldn't look at Sarah or John at all. The best part, John and Sarah are still together. They got married 3 years after we graduated. They have 3 kids now and just bought a house with a huge backyard. I was the best man at their wedding. Steve, last I heard he's divorced and still trying to relive his university glory days.